When I was a child, life was a cruel thing. My parents passed away when I was very young, leaving me alone in a world I didn't understand. The only family I had was my grandmother. She was old, and I could tell that she loved me with all the warmth she had left. She raised me with stories of love and resilience, teaching me how to be strong, how to dream, and how to cherish the family we had left, no matter how small it was. Growing up without my parents, I knew the importance of family, of being together, of finding someone to love. I promised myself I would get married before my grandmother passed away. She was growing older every day, and I wanted her to see me start a family of my own. It was my deepest wish, something I thought would give her the peace she deserved. Then I met Lily. I still remember the first time I saw her, as if it was yesterday. She was at a small cafe I often visited. She was sitting by the window, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders, her eyes locked on something I couldn't see. I was drawn to her instantly, as if some invisible force had nudged me toward her. We spoke that day, just small talk at first, but something clicked between us. She had a warmth to her that made me feel like I had known her forever. She seemed so real. We started dating and everything felt normal, like any relationship. We laughed, we talked about the future, and I found myself falling for her more each day. It was the kind of love I had dreamed of. After a few months, we decided to move in together. Everything was perfect, or so it seemed. But then the strange things started happening. At first it was small, my keys would be in a different spot, doors that I knew I'd locked would be wide open, and lights would flicker for no reason. I thought I was just being paranoid, but deep down, I felt something wasn't right. Then it started happening at night. Lily and I would go to sleep together, but every few nights, I would wake up to find her missing. At first, I thought she was just getting up to go to the bathroom, but she was gone for hours, 2 hours, sometimes more. It didn't make sense. I would search the house, but she was always nowhere to be found. And when she would return, she never explained where she'd been. She'd just crawl back into bed as if nothing happened. There was something off about the way she looked at me when she came back, something cold in her eyes, like she had been somewhere that wasn't of this world. But I didn't question it. I was too in love, too caught up in the feelings I had for her. Then one night, everything changed. I woke up in the middle of the night, and once again, Lily wasn't there. I waited for her to return, but she didn't. Hours passed, and I started to get that awful, sinking feeling. I got out of bed and searched the house, calling her name. When I reached the kitchen, I froze. There, standing in the doorway, was Lily. But she wasn't the same. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. Her presence felt cold, unnatural. I could feel an overwhelming energy, like something was wrong, something I couldn't explain. I asked where she had been, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at me with those lifeless eyes and simply said she had been getting something. But the way she said it felt off, like there was something hidden beneath her words, something I couldn't quite understand at the time. That's when I started to question everything. I began to notice more strange things. My grandmother, who had always been very perceptive, met Lily for the first time one afternoon. The moment she laid eyes on her, her face changed. I remember the way her eyes narrowed, like she was sensing something I couldn't. She didn't say anything at first, but I could tell my grandmother's instincts were screaming at her. Later, when we were alone, she quietly pulled me aside and told me, "There's something not right about that girl. Her energy, it's negative. Trust your gut, my boy." But I didn't listen. I thought my grandmother was just being overprotective, worried about me getting too close to someone. But deep down, I started to wonder if she was right. One evening, I came home after a long day at work, and I found Lily standing by the window, staring out at the night. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. She didn't acknowledge me as I entered, not at first. I walked up to her, asking if everything was okay, but she just whispered, "I'm waiting for someone." It didn't make sense to me at the time, but something in her voice sent a chill down my spine. That night, I noticed a shadow in the hallway, a dark shape that seemed to move on its own. It wasn't the first time I had seen it, but I never dared speak of it to Lily. I didn't want to seem crazy, but then the nightmares started. I began having dreams where I would see Lily standing by my grandmother's bedside, her hands reaching for her. It wasn't right. I woke up in a cold sweat every single night. When I asked Lily about it, she simply smiled. But there was something unsettling about that smile. Something dark, like she was hiding something. I tried to ignore it, but the events escalated. One night, I woke up to the sound of crying. Soft, distant sobs. I followed the sound, and it led me to the living room, where I found Lily sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth. But there was no one else in the room. When I asked her what was going on, she only said, "I need to be with you forever." That's when I started to realize I wasn't dating a normal woman. I was dating something else, something ancient. But it was too late. I had fallen too deeply for her. And with every passing day, the darkness in our home grew stronger. My grandmother started to get sick more often, her health deteriorating faster than before. I thought nothing of it at first, but then came the night when everything changed. It was a cold, foggy evening when it happened. I came home to find my grandmother in a feverish state. Lily was sitting by her side, whispering in her ear. I couldn't make out the words, but something about it felt wrong. When I approached, Lily turned to me with those cold, dead eyes and said, "She's almost ready." I didn't understand. What was she talking about? But before I could ask, my grandmother gasped for air and fell unconscious. It was then that I knew. The ghost I had been dating wasn't just haunting our home. She was trying to take something from me. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, lost in this web of supernatural chaos. Lily's presence was everywhere, in every corner of the house, her touch as cold as death itself. I tried to confront her, but she just smiled that same smile and whispered, "You'll understand soon." That night, I made the worst decision of my life. I didn't realize it at the time, but by allowing Lily to stay in my life, I was sealing my grandmother's fate. I had become part of the darkness, and without knowing it, I had sacrificed the one person who had always been there for me. My grandmother passed away a few days later. I was shattered, devastated. But what made it worse was the cold, empty feeling that filled my heart. I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I had lost the one person who had meant everything to me. And now I was left with Lily, the ghost who had taken everything. That's when I sought help. Desperate, I began researching the supernatural, hoping to find a way to rid myself of Lily. That's when I came across a man, a former priest turned exorcist. I contacted him, and after hearing my story, he agreed to help me. The exorcist came to my house and immediately sensed the presence of Lily. He performed an ancient ritual, and as he chanted, the air grew thick with tension. Lily appeared before us, her figure floating in the air, her eyes filled with rage. She screamed, her voice like 1,000 voices crying in agony, but the exorcist didn't back down. With one final incantation, the ghost was banished. I never saw her again, but even now I can feel her presence lingering in the darkest corners of my mind. The lesson I learned from all of this is one I'll carry with me forever. Be careful who you invite into your life, and always trust your instincts. I thought I had found love, but in reality, I had opened the door to something far darker. Love can be blinding, but it can also be a trap. And sometimes, the things we think we want are the very things that destroy us. So when you see someone who isn't dating, who isn't rushing to settle down, it's not because they're picky or afraid of commitment. It's because they've lived through a darkness they'll never speak of. And they're just too scared to open that door again.